As the sun begins its descent behind Cinderella's castle, something magical happens at the Magic Kingdom. The sky transforms into a canvas of deep oranges and soft purples, and the park takes its first breath of evening air. The heat of the day lifts, and a coolness settles over Main Street, U.S.A. Let's walk together down this iconic street as dusk approaches. Notice how the gas lamps begin to flicker to life, one by one. These aren't ordinary street lights. Each one is lit by hand every evening by a cast member in period costume, using a long brass lighter, just as they would have been over a century ago. The warm glow they cast creates pools of amber light on the brick-paved street below. The storefront windows along Main Street are starting to shine from within. Look closely at the Emporium's display windows. In the fading light, you can see the gentle movement of animated dolls and toys, their mechanical movements hypnotic and soothing. There's a tin soldier marching eternally in place, his painted face forever cheerful. A porcelain ballerina turns slowly on her music box, her tutu catching the light with each graceful rotation. Above your head, the second-story windows are illuminated now. If you look carefully, you might notice something special. These windows pay tribute to the people who built Disney, names etched in gold leaf. The names catch the last rays of sunlight and seem to glow with their own inner light, a quiet acknowledgement of dreams made real. The scent in the air is changing too. During the day, you might smell popcorn and churros. But now there's something different. The evening breeze carries the sweet perfume of the flowers planted in the carefully maintained beds along the street, mixed with the faint vanilla scent that's pumped onto Main Street. It's comforting, like walking into a bakery just as cookies are coming out of the oven. Let's pause for a moment at Casey's Corner. Through the windows, you can see the warm interior, the red and white checked tablecloths, and families gathered together sharing their last meal of the day. The sound of the ragtime piano drifts out each time the door opens. The pianist's fingers dance across the keys, playing tunes from another era, songs that feel like they're wrapped in sepia tone and nostalgia. As we continue toward the castle, the sky is deepening now. That brilliant blue hour is arriving. When the world exists in a space between day and night, the castle is beginning to transform. Lights hidden in the landscaping around its base are warming up, starting to paint the gray stones with washes of pink and blue. Behind us, if we turn around, we can see the train station. The Walt Disney World Railroad is making its final rounds of the evening. You can hear the whistle in the distance, that lonesome, beautiful sound that speaks of adventure and far-off places. Steam rises from the engine in soft white puffs that dissipate into the evening air. The crowds are thinning slightly. Many families with young children are heading toward the exit, their little ones sleepy on their parents' shoulders, clutching their new stuffed animals and light-up toys. But for those who remain, there's a sense of anticipation. The park at night is a different experience, something more intimate and enchanting. Let's make our way to the hub, that circular area in front of the castle. The partner's statue stands here, Walt Disney and Mickey Mouse looking toward the castle together, hand in hand. As darkness continues to fall, a spotlight illuminates them from below, creating long shadows and making the bronze figures look almost alive, as if at any moment Walt might turn and give us that familiar smile, inviting us to dream along with him. The castle is fully lit now, and it's breathtaking. Soft purple lights illuminate the towers, making them look like they're carved from amethyst. The turrets glow pink and blue, and the entire structure seems to float above the ground, suspended in the deepening blue of twilight. It's impossible not to stop and stare. Around the hub, the flower beds are planted in the shape of Mickey Mouse, And even in the low light, you can make out his iconic silhouette in red and yellow blooms. Hidden lights nestled among the flowers make them glow softly, like they're lit from within. The ambient sounds are different now. The excited screams from the roller coasters seem farther away, softened by the night. Instead, you hear the instrumental music floating through the air, the same music that's been playing all day, but somehow more noticeable now, more present. It wraps around you like a familiar blanket. Take a deep breath. The air feels different at this hour. There's a coolness to it, a freshness. The smell of the lake water from the Jungle Cruise drifts over, mixed with the chlorine from the Tomorrowland pool area and the ever-present sweetness of the Main Street confections. This is the threshold. This is a moment when the Magic Kingdom stops being a theme park and becomes something else entirely, something more dreamlike, something that exists just for you and for this perfect moment suspended between day and night. Let's drift now from the castle toward Fantasyland, passing beneath those stone archways that feel like portals to another world. As you walk through, notice how the temperature changes slightly. It's cooler here, and the sounds shift from the open space of the hub to something more enclosed, more intimate. The first thing you see as you enter is the carousel. The Prince Charming Regal Carousel is a masterpiece of light and motion at night. 90 white horses, each one hand-carved and unique, circle endlessly to the calliope music. The lights that frame the top of the carousel are brilliant against the dark sky. Thousands of golden bulbs creating a crown of light that reflects off the horses' painted saddles and gleaming brass poles. Watch one horse as it goes around, perhaps the one with roses painted on its saddle, or the one with the fierce expression and flowing mane. As it passes through the pools of colored light, red and blue and gold, it transforms with each rotation. The music wraps around everything, that tinkling, mechanical melody that sounds like it's coming from a music box the size of a building. Children and adults alike are riding, their faces illuminated from below by the carousel's lights, creating a kind of magic that makes everyone look younger, more carefree. The horses rise and fall in their eternal gallop, going nowhere and everywhere all at once. Beyond the carousel, we come to It's a Small World. The facade is impossible to miss, even at night, especially at night. The white and gold exterior is lit with what seems like a million tiny lights, each one twinkling in sequence, creating waves of illumination that ripple across the surface. The clock tower stands at the center, and as we watch, the clock begins its hourly performance. The doors at the base of the tower open, and the parade of wooden dolls begins to emerge, turning and bowing to the melody. The music plays, that song, so it's almost part of your DNA now. But at night, it sounds different, softer somehow, less insistent. The boats drift past the loading area, each one carrying sleepy families. And you can hear laughter and the occasional surprised delight of someone spotting a detail they'd never noticed before. Let's board a boat ourselves. As we float into the building, we're enveloped in darkness for just a moment before emerging into that first room. The ceiling is painted with stars, and the walls are alive with the animated dolls of different nations. Their movements are simple, mechanical, but there's something hypnotic about them. An arm raising and lowering, a head turning from side to side, the painted smiles never changing. The colors are vibrant here, almost overwhelming. Hot pinks and electric blues, sunshine yellows and vibrant greens. Each scene blends into the next as our boat carries us forward on the water. The gentle motion is soothing, rocking slightly side to side, and the constant melody surrounds you from every direction. In the Asia room, paper lanterns hang from above, glowing with internal light. The dolls here wear traditional kimonos and saris, their faces serene as they sway to the music. There's a small elephant, gray and pink, that rocks back and forth eternally. A monkey that climbs up and down its tree, never reaching the top, never returning to the bottom. The Africa room is filled with warm colors, oranges, and deep reds. Giraffes with impossibly long necks bend down and straighten up again. Children dance in a circle that never ends. The percussion in the music is stronger here, drums that pulse like a heartbeat. South America bursts with tropical birds in every color imaginable. Toucans and parrots perch on branches, their beaks opening and closing. The dolls here are dancing the samba, moving their hips in that characteristic rhythm. Palm trees sway overhead, and you can almost feel the warmth of that content, even though you're in an air-conditioned building in Florida. The boat rounds a corner, and suddenly we're in the Arctic. The change is striking. Everything is white and blue now, cool and crystalline. Igloos, the landscape, and children ice skate in circles. A polar bear rocks back and forth. A seal claps its flippers together. The northern lights shimmer on the painted backdrop, waves of green and blue that seem to move even though they're still. And then the finale room. This is where all the children of the world come together in white and gold costumes. The walls seem to stretch upward forever, filled with dolls from every country we've just visited, all singing together in harmony. The ceiling is a field of stars, and everything sparkles. It's overwhelming in the best possible way. This vision of unity and peace, all accompanied by that simple melody that somehow sounds profound in this moment. As our boat drifts toward the exit, we pass beneath an archway, and suddenly we're back outside in Fantasyland. The transition from the bright, colorful interior to the cool night air is refreshing. The sounds of the park return, distant music, and the splash of water, and the happy chatter of other guests. Across the way, you can see the Mad Tea Party. The giant teacups are spinning under a canopy of paper lanterns strung overhead. The lanterns glow in soft pastels, pink and yellow and mint green, casting a gentle light over the riders below. Some cups are spinning wildly, blurs of color, while others turn slowly, lazily, as their riders take a more relaxed approach. The music from the Mad Tea Party is upbeat, almost frantic, but it seems to fit perfectly here in Fantasyland. You can hear the delighted screams and laughter as the cups whip around, and even just watching it makes you feel dizzy in a pleasant way. Above everything, the castle towers in the background, a constant presence. From here in Fantasyland, you can see different angles of it, different turrets and spires catching the light in new ways. It's like every few steps you take, you discover a new perspective, a new detail you hadn't noticed before. The pathway through Fantasyland is lined with medieval-style lampposts, their lights enclosed in iron cages that cast intricate shadows on the ground. Flags flutter from the castle walls, barely visible in the darkness, but you can hear them snapping in the breeze, that crisp sound of fabric against air. This is Fantasyland at night, where every fantasy feels within reach, where the darkness makes the bright light seem brighter, where the magic feels most potent, most real, most true. From Fantasyland, we venture toward a different kind of magic. As we cross the bridge into Adventureland, the atmosphere shifts completely. The medieval stones and pastel colors give way to something wilder, more mysterious. The air itself seems thicker here, humid and warm, carrying the scent of tropical flowers and something earthy, like rain on jungle soil. The pathway narrows, and suddenly we're surrounded by dense foliage. Even at night, the vegetation feels alive. Giant palm fronds arch overhead, their silhouettes sharp against the deep blue sky. Bamboo stalks cluster together, and you can hear them creaking slightly in the breeze, that distinctive hollow sound. Hidden speakers tucked into the landscape play the sounds of the jungle. Distant bird calls, the chirp of crickets, the occasional mysterious rustle that could be anything. The lighting here is different from anywhere else in the park. Instead of bright, welcoming illumination, Adventureland embraces shadows. Tiki torches line the pathways, their flames dancing and flickering, casting an orange glow that makes everything feel ancient and primal. The torches crackle softly as they burn, and occasionally you'll catch the scent of the oil, smoky and exotic. Let's follow the sound of drums. They're rhythmic, insistent, drawing us deeper into Adventureland. We round a corner and find ourselves at the Swiss family treehouse. This massive banyan tree rises up into the darkness, its branches spreading wide like arms reaching for the stars. Lanterns hang throughout the tree, glowing like oversized fireflies, illuminating the wooden platforms and rope bridges that wind through its structure. The tree is always here, of course, but at night it takes on a different character. Climbing the steps, we ascend into the branches. Each platform reveals a different room of the family's home, frozen in time. The kitchen has pots hanging from hooks, and even in the dim light you can see the attention to detail. The plates on the table, the water wheel system they've engineered, the books on shelves. From up here, you can see out over Adventureland. The view is spectacular. The park spreads out below, pools of light surrounded by darkness. You can see the tops of other attractions, the glowing minarets of the magic carpets in the distance, the peaked roof of the Jungle Cruise loading area. The breeze is stronger up here, cooler, and it rustles through the artificial leaves of the tree with a sound that's surprisingly authentic. Descending back to ground level, we make our way toward the Jungle Cruise. The queue winds through a building designed to look like an old colonial outpost. Even this late in the evening, there's a line, but it moves steadily. The walls are decorated with vintage travel posters, their colors faded to look aged. Maps of unknown rivers cover every surface, marked with cryptic notes and warnings. Finally, we board our boat. The skipper, wearing their safari outfit and pith helmet, welcomes us aboard with a joke that's probably been told 1,000 times today, but somehow still lands. The boat's engine rumbles to life, a deep, throaty sound, and we push off from the dock into the darkness. The river is black as ink, reflecting the lights from the shore like a mirror. As we round the first bend, we leave the sounds of the park behind. All you can hear now is the engine, the water lapping against the boat's hull, and the skipper's narration amplified through the boat speakers. The first scene emerges from the darkness, a lost temple, overgrown with vines. The stone elephants guarding it are weathered and ancient-looking, their eyes seeming to follow our boat as we pass. The skipper makes a joke, something about the elephants never forgetting, and there's gentle laughter from the other passengers. We drift past a campsite that's been overrun by gorillas. The apes are ransacking supplies, tearing through tents, holding up stolen items. Their fur looks shaggy in the dim light, and their movements are jerky, mechanical, but compelling. One gorilla is examining himself in a mirror, endlessly fascinated by his own reflection. Another is wearing a pith helmet it's stolen, looking absurdly human. The boat continues deeper into the jungle. The foliage is so thick here it's like traveling through a tunnel of green. Hidden lighting creates pools of illumination where we need to see, but leaves everything else in mysterious shadow. You can hear sounds coming from the darkness, roars, howls, mysterious splashes. Your imagination fills in what might be lurking just beyond the reach of the light. We approach the elephant bathing pool. A family of elephants is playing in the water, spraying jets from their trunks. The water sparkles as it catches the light, and one baby elephant squirts directly toward the boat. The passengers in front duck and laugh, even though they know the water won't quite reach us. The elephants look content, peaceful, frozen in their eternal bath. Around another bend, and suddenly there are hippos everywhere. They emerge from the water, mouths open impossibly wide, showing rows of blocky teeth. The skipper makes another joke, something about them being hungry, and as if on cue, one hippo lurches up from beneath the surface right next to the boat. It's startling every time, even when you're expecting it. The boat drifts past a sleeping rhinoceros on the shore, its gray bulk rising and falling with mechanical breaths. Butterflies with wings the size of dinner plates flutter around a flowering tree. A cobra rises from a basket near an abandoned shrine, swaying back and forth in time to music only it can hear. Then we enter the most dramatic part of the journey. The ruins of an ancient temple loom ahead, half submerged in the river. Flames burst from the top, sudden and bright, illuminating carved faces on the pillars. The heat from the flames can be felt even from the boat, a wave of warmth in the cool night air. The effect is spectacular. This combination of water and fire, ancient stone and living flame. The skipper's jokes continue, but there's something almost meditative about this journey. The gentle rocking of the boat, the steady chug of the engine, the constant stream of narration mixed with jungle sounds. It's easy to let your mind drift, to half believe you really are on a river somewhere far from Florida, somewhere where adventure waits around every bend. As we approach the end of the journey, we pass through one final scene, the backside of water, as the skipper never fails to announce. A waterfall cascades down, and the boat passes right behind it. For a moment, we're in a cave of water, surrounded by the roar and the mist. Then we emerge back into the open air, back to the familiar sounds of Adventureland, back to the tiki torches and the distant drums. The boat pulls up to the dock, and we disembark, legs slightly unsteady after sitting for so long. But something has changed. We've been somewhere else, even if just for a few minutes. That's the magic of Adventureland at night. It transports you completely, makes you forget the real world exists, if only for a little while. From the organic wilderness of Adventureland, we journey now to its opposite, the gleaming, metallic world of Tomorrowland. The transition is dramatic and immediate. The tropical sounds fade away, replaced by the hum of electricity and the whoosh of rockets. The warm torchlight gives way to cool neon and chrome. As you enter Tomorrowland, the first thing that strikes you is the color. During the day, it's all white and silver and blue. But at night, it transforms into a canvas of electric brilliance. Neon lights trace the curves of every building in shades of blue, purple, pink, and green. The effect is like stepping into a dream of the future, or perhaps a memory of what people in the past thought the future would look like. The Astro Orbiter towers above everything else, a magnificent kinetic sculpture that dominates the Tomorrowland skyline. At night, it's absolutely breathtaking. The central rocket structure is illuminated from within, glowing like a beacon. The individual rocket ships circle around it on their arms, each one lit with colorful lights that leave trails in the air as they spin. Red, blue, yellow, and green streaks paint circles against the darkness. Watch one rocket as it rises and falls on its programmed path. The rider inside controls the ascent and descent, and you can track their journey by following their light. When they reach the top, they pause for just a moment, suspended high above Tomorrowland, and you can only imagine the view they have. The entire park spread out below them, a constellation of lights and movement. The People Mover glides silently overhead on its elevated track. This is perhaps the most relaxing attraction in all of Walt Disney World, especially at night. The blue trains move at a leisurely pace, carrying passengers on a grand circle tour of Tomorrowland. There's no narration anymore, just the gentle hum of the magnetic propulsion system and the breeze against your face as you ride. Let's board the People Mover ourselves. As we settle into the seats, the train begins to move, pulling away from the platform with barely a sound. We're elevated now, gliding above the pathways, and the perspective shift is wonderful. You can see into second-story windows of the buildings, catch glimpses of the intricate details in the architecture that are invisible from ground level. The track curves, and we pass through Space Mountain. This is the best part. We enter through a tunnel in the side of the White Dome, and suddenly we're inside the mountain itself, traveling through the queue and the ride area. Below us, rockets are launching into the darkness, their riders screaming with delight as they disappear into the starfield. The darkness inside is punctuated by points of light meant to represent stars, planets, and distant galaxies. The ambient sounds in here are otherworldly. Electronic whooshes, the rumble of the rocket coasters on their tracks, the computerized beeps and boops of a retrofuturistic control room. For a few moments, as the People Mover carries us through the mountain, we're astronauts ourselves, observing space travel from our leisurely vantage point. We emerge back into the open air of Tomorrowland, and the contrast makes the neon seem even brighter. The track curves past the Tomorrowland Speedway, where the cars are still racing even at this hour. You can hear the distinctive putt-putt of their engines, see the headlights sweeping around the curves. Small bursts of exhaust smoke rise into the night air, catching the colored lights and glowing briefly before dissipating. The People Mover glides past Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin. Through the windows, you can catch glimpses of the attraction inside. The purple and black light glowing rooms, the flashes from the laser guns, the spinning targets lit up in fluorescent paint. Even from outside, you can hear the electronic sound effects, the pew-pew of laser fire, the triumphant music when someone hits a high-value target. As our journey on the People Mover comes to an end, we disembark and find ourselves drawn to the carousel of progress. The building's exterior is understated compared to some of Tomorrowland's flashier attractions, but there's something comforting about it. This is a show that's been here since the park opened, a piece of Disney history. Inside, we take our seats in the theater. The lights dim, and the show begins. The stage rotates, or rather, we rotate around the stage as the Sherman Brothers' optimistic song begins to play. There's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, shining at the end of every day. The animatronic family takes us through the decades, from the turn of the 20th century to the present day, showing us how progress has changed daily life. The father figure, with his confident voice and slightly stiff movements, narrates each scene. The details are wonderful. The old-fashioned kitchen appliances, the period-appropriate clothing, the subtle changes in lighting and music to reflect each era. There's something deeply soothing about this show, especially late at night. The mechanical nature of the animatronics, the simple optimism of the message, the gentle rotation of the theater. Many guests use this as a chance to rest, to sit in the air conditioning and let the predictable progression of scenes wash over them. Some even doze off, lulled by the familiar song and the comfortable seats. When the show ends and we exit back into Tomorrowland, the night has deepened further. The crowd has thinned even more. Cast members are beginning the nightly cleaning rituals, power washing pathways, emptying trash cans, preparing the park for tomorrow. Space Mountain looms before us. that iconic white dome that looks like it could actually be a launch pad for real space missions. The exterior is lit with sharp white lights that emphasize its geometric shape. At night, it seems even more massive, even more imposing. The muffled screams from inside are constant, like the mountain itself is a living thing, breathing excitement and adrenaline. If you stand near the exit, you can watch the rockets return to the station. The riders emerge, hair windswept, faces flushed, laughing and talking excitedly about the experience. Some are immediately debating whether they should ride again. There's something infectious about their energy, their joy. Near the center of Tomorrowland, there's a small garden area, easy to miss among all the neon and chrome. It's planted with palms and tropical flowers, and there are benches where you can sit and simply observe. From here you can see everything. The Astro Orbiter spinning overhead, the People Mover gliding past, the glow from the various attractions, the streams of guests moving from one experience to the next. The ambient music in Tomorrowland at night is a mix of synthesizer melodies and orchestral swells. It's meant to evoke the future, but it's a nostalgic kind of future. The future as imagined by dreamers and optimists. It loops continuously, and after a while you stop consciously hearing it. But it becomes part of the atmosphere, part of the emotional texture of this place. Above it all, the real stars are beginning to appear in the sky. They compete with all this artificial light, these human-made constellations, but they hold their own. There's something poetic about that, something that speaks to the theme of Tomorrowland itself. The interplay between the natural universe and human innovation, between the stars we're born under and the stars we dream of reaching. This is Tomorrowland at night, where the future is always gleaming and bright, where progress is always possible, where tomorrow is always just a dream away from becoming today. We leave the bright future of Tomorrowland behind and step back in time, crossing an invisible threshold into Liberty Square. The change is immediate and profound. The neon gives way to warm lantern light. The smooth metallic surfaces are replaced by weathered brick and aged wood. This is colonial America, preserved in an eternal autumn evening. The Liberty Tree stands at the heart of this land, a massive live oak that's been here longer than the park itself. At night, it's majestic. 13 lanterns hang from its branches, one for each of the original colonies, their flames flickering inside glass enclosures. The light they cast creates dancing shadows on the tree's thick trunk and gnarled branches. Spanish moss drapes from the limbs, swaying gently in the night breeze, and the effect is both beautiful and slightly melancholic. The pathway around Liberty Square is paved with cobblestones that click beneath your feet as you walk. The buildings here are designed to look like they're from the late 1700s. Brick structures with white trim, shuttered windows, wooden signs hanging from iron brackets. Everything has been weathered and aged intentionally to look authentic. Even the paint is strategically worn to suggest centuries of sun and rain. Gas lamps line the streets, their warm glow pooling on the cobblestones below. These aren't electric lights made to look like gas lamps. These are actual gas flames, carefully maintained and monitored. You can hear the soft hiss of the gas, see the way the flames waver and dance. The light they provide is different from electric light, warmer, more alive, more human. The Liberty Square riverboat is docked along the rivers of America, its white paint gleaming even in the darkness. 3 tiers of decks rise up, trimmed with ornate wooden railings and decorative gingerbread details. At night, the boat is outlined with tiny lights, making it look like a floating birthday cake. Steam rises from its stacks in lazy white plumes that drift across the water before disappearing into the night. If the boat is making an evening journey, you can board and feel the deck shift beneath your feet as the vessel pushes away from the dock. The paddle wheel at the back begins to turn, water churning and splashing with each rotation. The boat's calliope plays cheerful melodies that carry across the water, mixing with the sounds of the night. From the deck of the riverboat, you can see Frontierland on the opposite shore, the peaks of Big Thunder Mountain silhouetted against the sky, the dim lights of the settlements, the occasional flash and boom from the mountain as a train races through the darkness. The water is dark and mirror-smooth between ripples, reflecting the lights from both shores. It's peaceful out here, moving slowly through the night, the breeze cool against your face. But there's one building in Liberty Square that draws us like a magnet, especially at night. At the end of the street, set back slightly from the main path, sits a Gothic mansion, the Haunted Mansion. Its presence dominates this corner of the park, looming and elegant at once. The mansion is painted in shades of gray and purple, with white trim that seems to glow in the darkness. Corinthian columns support the entrance portico, and wrought iron railings line the second-floor balcony. The windows are tall and shuttered, some of them lit with an eerie, flickering light from within, as if candles were burning inside. The landscaping is deliberately overgrown, untamed, with twisted trees and creeping vines that add to the sense of age and abandonment. The queue winds through the graveyard, and even waiting in line is an experience. Tombstones the lawn, each one carved with a punny epitaph. The stones are weathered, covered with lichen, tilted at odd angles, as if the earth beneath them has shifted over time. Some of the graves have small details you might miss if you're not looking carefully. A skeletal hand reaching up from the earth, a bust that seems to follow you with its eyes, a crypt with a door that's slightly ajar. The interactive queue elements have been added in recent years, but they blend seamlessly with the original design. Musical instruments rest on pedestals throughout the graveyard, and when guests touch certain spots, the instruments play themselves. A trumpet rises and plays a mournful melody. Drums beat out a rhythm. A horn blares a discordant note. It's playful but also slightly unsettling, these instruments playing with no visible musician. Finally, we reach the entrance. The doors open, and we step into the foyer. The room is octagonal, with walls covered in dark purple wallpaper. Portraits hang in ornate frames, their subjects painted in somber tones. The floor is black and white marble, and a chandelier hangs overhead, its candles unlit, but somehow the room is still illuminated by a source you can't quite identify. The ghost host's voice echoes through the room, cultured and sardonic. He welcomes us, foolish mortals, to the haunted mansion, and reminds us that there's no turning back now. The room begins to stretch, elongating in a way that seems impossible. The portraits on the walls stretch too, revealing hidden details in each image. A young woman standing on a tightrope, but as the room stretches, you see she's standing above a pit filled with alligators. A man standing on dynamite, but as the portrait extends, you realize it's lit. The effect is disorienting and delightful. The lights go out. There's a flash of lightning and a scream. When the lights return, something has changed. A body hangs from the rafters above, swaying gently. Then the wall opens, and we're ushered into the portrait corridor. This hallway seems to stretch on forever. The walls are lined with portraits, but these aren't ordinary paintings. As you walk past them, the subjects transform. A beautiful young woman becomes a snarling cat. A gallant ship sailing calm becomes a ghost ship in a storm. A knight in shining armor becomes a skeleton. Lightning flashes outside the windows at irregular intervals, illuminating the corridor in stark white light before plunging it back into gloom. We board our doom buggies, and they begin their journey through the mansion. The vehicles move on an omni-mover system, rotating to face whatever the Imagineers want you to see. There's something soothing about the ride system itself. The gentle forward motion, the smooth rotation, the feeling of being guided through the experience. The library is first, floor-to-ceiling shelves filled with books. Marble busts sit on pedestals throughout the room, and their eyes seem to track your movement. One of the busts turns its head slowly, following your doom buggy as you pass. Outside the windows, a storm rages, and you can see gnarled trees bending in the wind. We pass through the music room, where a piano plays itself, ghostly hands visible above the keys. The shadow of a figure conducts an invisible orchestra, its silhouette cast on the wall. The music is slightly off-key, slightly too fast, giving it an unsettling quality. The endless hallway stretches before us, a corridor that seems to extend into infinity. A candelabra floats in the distance, hovering in midair, never getting closer or farther away. Hands reach out from the wallpaper, pressing against it as if trying to escape. A chair rocks by itself near a doorway. Then we enter the seance room, perhaps the most atmospheric scene in the entire mansion. Madame Leota's head floats inside a crystal ball at the center of the room, her face eerily beautiful as she chants her incantations. Serpents and spiders, tail of a rat, call on the spirits, wherever they're at. The instruments and objects around the room respond to her call, floating and spinning in the darkness. The doom buggies circle around her as she summons the spirits, and you can't help but be mesmerized by her floating, disembodied head, eyes closed in concentration, lips moving with each word. Our doom buggy continues its journey through the haunted mansion, leaving Madame Leota's seance room behind. We're climbing now, ascending a staircase that seems to defy the laws of physics. The doom buggy tilts backwards slightly as it rises, and you feel yourself pressed gently into the seat. At the top of the stairs, we pass through a conservatory. The room is filled with dead plants and withered flowers, their dried petals and leaves creating a melancholic garden. In the center of the room sits a coffin, and from within it, skeletal hands push against the lid, trying desperately to open it. The lid rises slightly with each push, then falls back down. A raven perches nearby, watching impassively, its red eyes glowing in the dim light. We move into the corridor of doors, one of the most unsettling scenes in the mansion. On both sides of the hallway, doors line the walls, and behind each one, something is trying to get out. Doorknobs rattle and turn. Doors bulge outward as if something large is pressing against them from the other side. Knockers bang against the wood in frantic rhythm. One door has hands gripping its edges from behind, visible between the door and the frame. Some doors have signs. Beware, they warn, but it's too late for warnings now. The sounds are cacophonous. Banging, screaming, moaning. The creak of wood under stress. And yet, somehow, it's not truly frightening. There's a theatrical quality to it all, a playfulness beneath the spooky surface. This is Halloween night in mansion form, all tricks and treats. The doom buggy carries us past a grandfather clock that's stuck at 13 o'clock. The shadow of a clawed hand moves across its face. Eyes peer out from the wallpaper, following our movement. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation, building toward something. And then suddenly we're outside, not really outside, but in a scene that depicts the mansion's graveyard. This is the heart of the attraction, the moment everything has been building toward. The attic is behind us now, and we've emerged into the outdoor cemetery scene, though we're still very much inside the building. The graveyard is alive with activity. Spectral residents are having a swinging wake, a party that will last for eternity. The music swells, grim, grinning ghosts, performed by a ghostly band. The melody is catchy and slightly macabre, perfect for this eternal celebration. 5 singing busts emerge from the darkness, their marble faces animated as they harmonize. They're arranged like a barbershop quintet, each one contributing a different vocal part to the song. Their mouths open wide, impossibly wide, as they belt out the lyrics. Their faces are weathered and cracked, covered in moss and lichen, but their voices are clear and strong. All around them, the graveyard is in full swing. A ghost materializes from behind one tombstone and then fades away behind another. A tea party is in progress at a small table, with transparent figures raising their cups in eternal toast. A king and queen sit on a seesaw, bouncing up and down in slow motion, their crowns gleaming even in their spectral form. In the background, you can see ghosts rising from their graves, popping up, and then sinking back down. They're wispy and blue, glowing with that characteristic Disney ghost effect. Some are riding ghostly bicycles. Others are flying through the air. One elegant ghost in a ball gown dances with a partner, twirling endlessly. There's a ghost playing a bagpipe, the instrument's spectral drone adding to the musical cacophony. Another ghost saws away at a violin. The rhythm section consists of ghosts banging on tombstones and rattling chains. It's chaotic, but somehow harmonious, a symphony of the supernatural. The doom buggy rotates to show you different angles of the scene. Each turn reveals new details you might have missed. A ghost riding a bicycle in circles, a spirit painting on a ghostly canvas, ethereal figures emerging from crypts and mausoleums. The effect is created through a technique called Pepper's Ghost, using angled glass and strategic lighting to create the illusion of transparent figures. It's an old theatrical trick, but it's executed so well here that it's still magical decades after the attraction first opened. We pass an opera-singing ghost, her mouth open in an eternal note that seems to shatter the air around her. Nearby, a pair of dueling ghosts face each other, their spectral swords passing through each other's transparent bodies harmlessly. They're locked in this combat forever, neither able to win, neither willing to surrender. As our doom buggy continues through the graveyard, we approach a small crypt. The doors are slightly open, and from within, we can see a ghostly figure beckoning us forward. The ghost host's voice returns. "Ah, there you are in just in time. There's a little matter I forgot to mention. Beware of hitchhiking ghosts." 3 ghosts materialize near the exit. A prisoner with a ball and chain, a skeleton in a top hat carrying a carpet bag, and a bearded ghost in tattered clothes. They're standing by the side of the path, thumbs out like hitchhikers on a lonely road. As your doom buggy passes them, something magical happens. You look into the mirror ahead, and there, sitting in your doom buggy between you and your fellow riders, is one of the hitchhiking ghosts. The effect is so convincing that first-time riders often do a double take, looking beside them to see if the ghost is really there, then back at the mirror where the ghost waves or tips his hat. It's a perfect combination of technology and theatricality, an effect that delights no matter how many times you've experienced it. The ghost host delivers his final message. They have selected you to fill our quota, and they'll haunt you until you return. It's both a promise and a threat, but delivered with such good humor that it feels like an invitation. We pass a display of ghost footprints, glowing blue on the floor, leading away from the mirrors and deeper into the mansion. But our journey is nearly over. The doom buggy carries us to the unloading area, and as we disembark, we find ourselves in a crypt. Little Leota, A small ghostly figure appears above the exit. She's translucent and tiny, hovering in the darkness, and her voice is high and ethereal. Hurry back, hurry back. Be sure to bring your death certificate if you decide to join us. Make final arrangements now. We've been dying to have you. We step out of the mansion and back into Liberty Square. The transition from the controlled darkness of the attraction to the open night air of the park is jarring for a moment. Your eyes need to readjust. The sounds of the park flood back in. Distant music, conversation. The splash of the riverboat's paddle wheel. But something has changed. The night seemed a little darker now, a little more full of possibility. The shadows between the buildings in Liberty Square seem deeper, more mysterious. That's the gift the Haunted Mansion gives you. It makes the ordinary world seem a bit more magical, a bit more full of unseen wonders. We walk back through Liberty Square, past the Liberty Tree with its 13 lanterns, past the diamond-paned windows of the colonial buildings, past a hall of presidents standing dignified and dark for the evening. The cobblestones click beneath our feet, and the gas lamps guide our way. The sounds of Liberty Square at night are subtle. The creak of the wooden signs swaying in the breeze, the distant music from the riverboat, the murmur of other guests sharing their experiences. There's a sense of history here, of continuity, of stories that have been told and retold so many times they've become part of the landscape itself. This is the magic of the Haunted Mansion at night, and of Liberty Square itself. It reminds us that darkness isn't something to fear. It's a canvas for imagination, a backdrop for stories, a space where the impossible becomes possible, if only for a little while. We leave Liberty Square's colonial elegance behind and cross into Frontierland, where the American frontier comes alive under the stars. The transition is marked by a change in architecture and atmosphere. The refined brick buildings give way to rough-hewn wood structures. The gas lamps are replaced by lanterns hanging from rustic posts. The air itself seems different here, carrying the scent of mesquite and the distant promise of adventure. The wooden boardwalks of Frontierland creak beneath your feet as you walk, each plank slightly different from the next, some worn smooth by countless footsteps, others still showing the marks of the saw that cut them. The buildings here look like they were assembled hastily by settlers who had more important things to worry about than perfect construction. Windows are uneven, roof lines sag slightly, paint is weathered and peeling. But it's all intentional, all carefully designed to create the illusion of a real frontier town. The stockade walls that line parts of Frontierland are made of logs standing upright, lashed together with rope, looking like they could actually defend against something. Through the gaps between the logs, you can catch glimpses of the rivers of America, dark and mysterious, with the Columbia sailing ship occasionally drifting past, its masts silhouetted against the night sky. Country Bear Jamboree sits quietly at this hour, its wooden facade decorated with lanterns that cast warm pools of light. The building looks like an old-time music hall, the kind of place where miners and cowboys might have gathered for entertainment after a long day. Even from outside, you can sometimes hear the muffled sounds of the show inside, the twang of banjos, the rumble of Big AL's bass voice, the laughter of the audience. But the true star of Frontierland at night, the attraction that dominates the landscape and captures the imagination, is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Even from a distance, you can see it rising against the night sky, a massive butte of red rock that glows with an otherworldly light. As we approach, the mountain reveals itself in all its glory. The rockwork is extraordinary, towering structures that look like they were carved by wind and water over millennia. Hidden lights wash the rocks in warm amber and orange tones, making them look like they're lit by the setting sun, even though full darkness has fallen hours ago. The effect is dramatic and beautiful. This massive monument to the American West standing in the middle of Florida. The mountain is alive with activity. Mine trains race along tracks that wind through the rocks, over bridges, through tunnels. You can hear the clatter of the wheels on the rails, the delighted screams of the riders, the musical accompaniment that plays throughout the attraction. Every few seconds, there's an explosion deep within the mountain, a flash of light followed by a boom that you feel in your chest as much as here. The queue for Big Thunder Mountain at night is an experience in itself. It winds through the mining town that's been built around the mountain's base. Buildings lean at precarious angles, looking like they might collapse at any moment. Mining equipment is scattered everywhere, or carts, pickaxes, shovels, lanterns, all showing the wear of hard use. The attention to detail is remarkable. In the assayer's office, you can see scales for weighing gold, dusty ledgers open on a desk, wanted posters tacked to the walls. Through the window of the explosive shack, you can see crates labeled with warnings, danger dynamite, and handle with care. A rocking chair on a porch moves slowly back and forth, even though no one is sitting in it, stirred by the breeze, or perhaps by something less easily explained. As we wind through the queue, we enter the mountain itself. The tunnels are dark and cool, lit by lanterns that hang from the ceiling. The rock walls are close on either side, and you can see the tool marks where the miners supposedly carved their way through. Water drips from the ceiling in places, creating small puddles that reflect the lantern light. Finally, we reach the loading area. The mine trains sit on the tracks waiting. They're designed to look weathered and used, painted in faded reds and browns. Each train has a name painted on its side. You are courageous, you be bold, I am brave. The seats are surprisingly comfortable, and as we settle in, the safety bar lowers across our laps. The train lurches forward, and we're off, climbing the first lift hill. The clicking of the chain pulling us upward is steady and rhythmic, almost meditative. We're rising above Frontierland now, and the view is spectacular. You can see across the rivers of America to Liberty Square and beyond. The lights of the park spread out below like a constellation brought down to earth. At the top of the lift, there's a moment of anticipation. The train pauses, and then we're dropping, racing down the first ascent. The night air rushes past your face, cool and exhilarating. The train banks hard to the left, then to the right, wheels squealing against the rails. We rocket through a tunnel, and suddenly we're inside the mountain. The darkness is broken by scenes of mining life. Animatronic figures work by lantern light. A miner panning for gold in a stream. Another loading dynamite into a hole drilled in the rock. A third shoveling ore into a cart. They move with mechanical precision, forever caught in their labors. The train climbs again, this time through a series of caves and caverns. Stalactites hang from the ceiling, some of them glowing with a phosphorescent quality that suggests there might be something magical about this mountain. Water cascades down the rock faces, creating small waterfalls that catch the light and sparkle. We emerge back into the open air, racing along a section of track that runs perilously close to the edge of the mountain. To one side is the rock face, close enough to touch. To the other side is open air, a drop into darkness below. It's thrilling and slightly terrifying, this illusion of danger. The train dives back into the mountain, and now things get chaotic. We're in the dynamite storage area, and something has gone wrong. Explosions flash all around us, synchronized with our passing. The booms are loud enough to feel, and with each explosion you can see crates of dynamite, picks, and shovels, and mining equipment flying through the air in frozen moments of destruction. A flooded shaft appears ahead, and we splash through it, water spraying up on either side. The train tilts and banks through a series of curves that seem impossibly tight. We're moving fast now, faster than seems safe, and that's exactly the point. This is the runaway mine train out of control, racing through the mountain on its own momentum. One final explosion, the biggest yet, and we're shooting out of the mountain into the open air. The train races along the edge, giving us one last spectacular view of Frontierland below. The Tom Sawyer Island is dark and mysterious across the water. The haunted mansion's Gothic silhouette is visible in the distance. The castle rises above everything, a constant reminder of where we are. The train begins to slow, the brakes engaging with a slight smell of friction and metal. We glide back into the station, and as the train comes to a stop, there's a moment of silence. Everyone starts talking at once, sharing their favorite moments, laughing about the screams, debating whether to ride again. We disembark and make our way back through Frontierland. The night has deepened further. The crowds have thinned to just the die-hard park-goers, the ones who want to soak up every last moment before the park closes. Pecos Bill Tall Tale Inn and Cafe sits at the edge of Frontierland, its windows glowing warmly. Even if it's closed for the evening, you can imagine the smell of fajitas and chili. Hear the Western music that plays inside. Picture the wanted posters and frontier memorabilia decorating the walls. The sounds of Frontierland at night create their own symphony. The distant rumble of Big Thunder Mountain, the splash of the riverboat's wheel, the creak of the boardwalks, the rustle of the flags and banners stirring in the breeze. Occasionally, you'll hear the sharp report of the rifles from the Frontierland Shooting Arcade, where guests test their aim at mechanical targets. This is Frontierland after dark, where the romance of the Old West meets the magic of Disney, where adventure waits around every corner, where the frontier spirit lives on in the imaginations of everyone who walks these wooden paths under the stars. As the evening deepens, there's a shift in the energy of the Magic Kingdom. Cast members begin positioning themselves along the pathways. Guests start gravitating toward the hub, that open area in front of Cinderella Castle. Families stake out spots on the ground, spreading out blankets and settling in. There's an anticipation in the air, a collective holding of breath. Everyone knows what's coming. The background music that's been playing throughout the park begins to fade. The ambient sounds seem to quiet. Even the attractions seem to pause, as if the entire park is turning its attention to the castle. Parents lift small children onto their shoulders. Couples stand close together, arms wrapped around each other. Strangers smile at one another with a shared understanding. We're about to witness something special. Then a voice echoes across the park, welcoming everyone to tonight's fireworks spectacular. The words wash over the crowd, and you can feel the excitement building. Phones are raised, cameras positioned, but many people simply stand with their eyes fixed on the castle, wanting to experience this moment fully, completely, without the barrier of a screen. The castle itself begins to transform. Projections dance across its surface, turning the stone into a canvas for light and color. Images appear and shift, scenes from beloved Disney films, cascading waterfalls of color, geometric patterns that pulse and swirl. The entire structure becomes alive, animated, telling stories through light. And then the first firework launches. It rises from behind the castle with a whistle, trailing sparks as it climbs higher and higher into the night sky. For a moment, it's just a point of light ascending into darkness. Then it explodes, a perfect sphere of golden sparks that expand outward, filling a huge section of the sky. The boom follows a heartbeat later, deep and resonant, felt as much as heard. The crowd gasps, that collective intake of breath that happens when something truly beautiful takes you by surprise, even when you were expecting it. And the sky erupts. Fireworks launch in rapid succession now, each one different from the last. There are chrysanthemum bursts that bloom like flowers, their petals of light drifting slowly downward before fading. There are palm tree effects that shoot upward and then cascade down in long, graceful streamers. There are crackling fireworks that sound like electricity, accompanied by bright white bursts that strobe across the sky. The colors are incredible. Deep purples that look almost black against the night sky. Brilliant greens that seem impossibly vivid. Reds that glow like embers. Blues that range from electric cyan to deep sapphire. Golds that shimmer and sparkle. Sometimes multiple colors appear in the same explosion, creating rings or patterns or gradients that transition from one hue to another. The soundtrack swells. Disney music orchestrated specifically for this show. The fireworks are choreographed to match the music perfectly. When the music builds to a crescendo, the sky fills with light. When it softens to a tender moment, a single firework might launch smaller, more intimate, like a visual representation of a gentle melody. Projections on the castle coordinate with the fireworks. When Let It Go plays, the castle becomes ice and snow, while blue and white fireworks burst overhead. When Circle of Life fills the air, the castle transforms into the African savanna at sunrise, and golden fireworks paint the sky like the sun itself. The fireworks aren't just launching from behind the castle anymore. They're coming from all around the park now, surrounding the audience in a 360-degree display. You turn your head and see bursts over Tomorrowland. You look behind you and see them over Main Street. The entire sky becomes a dome of light and color. Some fireworks shoot straight up and explode at their peak. Others arch across the sky, leaving trails of colored smoke. There are fireworks that spiral as they rise, corkscrewing upward before detonating. There are ones that seem to explode in stages, a burst within a burst, like nested spheres of light. The sounds are as varied as the visuals. Deep booms that you feel in your sternum. Sharp cracks like thunder. The whistle of rockets ascending. The crackle of effects meant to sound like magic. The soundtrack weaves through and around these sounds, creating a tapestry of audio that's as carefully crafted as the visual display. Children's faces are illuminated by the fireworks, their expressions pure wonder. Some have their mouths open in amazement. Others are pointing, trying to show their parents every new effect. Babies sleep through it all on their parents' shoulders, somehow immune to the noise, while toddlers watch with wide eyes, not quite understanding but sensing that something important is happening. The show builds and builds. The pace quickens. More fireworks launch, faster and faster, until the sky is never empty, never dark. One explosion fades as two more take its place. The booms blend together into a continuous rumble. The castle projections cycle through images rapidly now, a kaleidoscope of Disney magic. Then, for just a moment, everything stops. The music softens to a single piano. A lone firework rises slowly, almost tentatively. It reaches its apex and bursts into a perfect heart shape in red light. The crowd awes collectively. It's a moment of tenderness in the midst of all this spectacle. A reminder that beneath the technology and the artistry, this is about emotion, about love, about the connections we share. And then the finale begins. The music swells to its peak. The castle blazes with light, images projected across every surface. And the sky explodes into absolute chaos in the most beautiful way possible. Fireworks launch from every position around the park simultaneously. The night becomes day. The darkness is banished completely by the sheer volume of light. Colors blend and merge. Shapes overlap and intertwine. The booms become a continuous roar. It's overwhelming in the best possible way, a sensory experience that's almost too much to process. Your eyes don't know where to look. Everything is happening everywhere all at once. The music reaches its final note, held long and triumphant. The fireworks match it, a sustained moment of maximum brightness, maximum sound, maximum color. The castle is ablaze with projection. The sky is solid with bursts of light. And for just a few seconds, the entire world seems to be made of magic and fire and wonder. And then silence. The last firework fades. The projections on the castle disappear. The music ends. For a moment, there's absolute quiet. The smoke from the fireworks drifts across the sky, illuminated from below by the park lights, creating ghostly shapes and patterns. Then the applause begins. It starts scattered, a few people clapping. And then it builds, spreading through the crowd until everyone is applauding, cheering, whistling. Strangers turn to each other and smile. Children jump up and down. Parents wipe tears from their eyes that they didn't realize they were crying. The background music returns, soft and gentle now, as the crowd begins to disperse. Cast members direct the flow of traffic, guiding everyone toward the exits or toward last rides before the park closes. The castle returns to its regular lighting, beautiful but no longer transforming, no longer alive with projected images. People walk slowly, reluctant to leave, still processing what they just witnessed. Conversations spring up everywhere. Did you see that one that looked like a willow tree? The castle projection during the Lion King part was incredible. I got chills during the finale. The smoke is still visible in the air, drifting slowly away on the breeze, carrying with it the smell of gunpowder and magic. The stars are visible again now that the bright lights have faded, though they seem dimmer than they should, as if they're struggling to compete with the memory of the fireworks that just filled their sky. This is the magic of Disney fireworks at night. It's not just a show, not just entertainment. It's a shared experience, a moment of collective wonder, reminder that we can all still be amazed, that we can all still look up at the sky and see magic bursting into existence right before our eyes. The fireworks have ended, and the Magic Kingdom begins its slow transformation from a place of excitement to a place of quiet beauty. The announcement comes over the speakers, gentle but clear. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Magic Kingdom will be closing in 30 minutes. Please begin making your way toward the front of the park. But there's no rush. Not really. The guests who remain are the ones who want to savor every last moment, who understand that these final minutes of the park's day hold their own special magic. The crowds that gathered for the fireworks have thinned considerably. Many families with young children have already headed for the exits, little ones asleep in strollers or carried in tired arms, clutching their new stuffed animals and souvenirs. The guests who stay walk more slowly now. There's a contemplative quality to their movement, as if they're trying to memorize the feeling of being here, trying to capture something intangible to take home with them. Some are still taking photos, but the frantic need to document everything has faded. Now they're taking pictures of quiet corners, of details they might have missed during the day's excitement. We find ourselves back on Main Street, U.S.A., and it's transformed into something almost ethereal at this late hour. The shops are closing now, cast members beginning the process of securing their registers and tidying displays. Through the windows of the Emporium, you can see them straightening merchandise, folding shirts, arranging plush toys in neat rows. Their movements are practiced and efficient, but not hurried. This is part of the nightly ritual, as choreographed in its own way as any parade or show. The bakery window on Main Street still glows warmly, though the treats inside are mostly gone, sold throughout the long day. A few cookies remain in the display case, and a single elaborate cake sits on a pedestal, too beautiful to have been purchased, perhaps kept there specifically for its aesthetic appeal. The sweet smell still lingers in the air outside, mixing with the cooler night breeze. Street sweepers are already at work, their carts rolling slowly along the brick pavement. They move with quiet purpose, using their brooms to sweep away the accumulated debris of the day. Popcorn kernels, dropped napkins, the odd lost button or forgotten trading pin. The rhythmic swish of their brooms creates a soothing sound, almost meditative. Some guests stop to thank them, and the sweepers smile and nod, appreciating the recognition. The trains have made their final runs. The Walt Disney World Railroad sits silent at the Main Street station, the engine cooling with occasional pings and ticks of contracting metal. Steam no longer rises from its stack. The engineer has climbed down from a cab, and you can see him through the station windows, going through his end-of-night procedures, checking gauges, making notes in a logbook. Above Main Street, the windows on the second floor are going dark one by one. Those tribute windows with their names in gold leaf catch the streetlight for a few moments longer, then fade into shadow. It's like watching lights go out in an apartment building, each one signaling someone settling in for the night. The castle still stands illuminated in the distance, but its lighting has shifted. The dynamic projections are gone. Now it's lit with a steady, gentle glow, soft purples and blues that make it look like something from a dream. It's no longer trying to dazzle or amaze. It's simply being beautiful, existing in quiet majesty. A few cast members stand at strategic points along Main Street, thanking guests as they pass, wishing them good night. Their smiles are genuine, even after what must have been an exhausting day. Some guests stop to chat with them, sharing highlights from their visit, expressing gratitude. The cast members listen attentively, responding with warmth, sometimes sharing their own favorite moments or offering suggestions for next time. The horse-drawn streetcars have been put away for the night. The Clydesdales are back in their stables, being brushed down and fed, resting their powerful legs after a day of pulling guests up and down Main Street. The stable area is quiet now, just the sound of horses munching hay and the occasional soft nicker. We turn and walk back toward the castle one more time. The hub is nearly empty now, just a handful of people scattered around the vast circular space. Without the press of crowds, the area seems enormous, like a town square in a small village long after everyone has gone home. The flower beds that were so crowded earlier can actually be appreciated now, each bloom visible, each color distinct even in the low light. A couple sits on a bench near the partner statue, not talking, just sitting close together and looking at the castle. They're not taking photos. They're not checking their phones. They're just being present, soaking in this moment. There's something profound about their stillness, their contentment. The ambient music has changed to something softer, more contemplative. Instrumental versions of classic Disney songs play at a volume that's almost subliminal, more felt than heard. The melodies are familiar and comforting, like a lullaby from childhood, triggering memories and emotions that are hard to name but easy to feel. A cast member is testing the water features around the hub, making sure everything is running properly for tomorrow. The fountains dance through their program sequences, water arcing and splashing, catching the light from the castle and the street lamps. The sound of the water is peaceful, a natural counterpoint to all the mechanical sounds of the attractions that are now falling silent. Tomorrowland is quieting down. Space Mountain has sent its last rocket into the cosmos for the night. The Astro Orbiter has stopped spinning. The People Mover glides through its final circuit, carrying just a few sleepy guests who wanted one last gentle ride before leaving. From our vantage point, we can see it moving along its elevated track, a blue blur against the darker sky, slowly making its way back to the station for the final time tonight. Fantasyland is settling into sleep. The carousel has stopped its endless rotation, the horses frozen mid-gallop, waiting patiently for tomorrow when they'll run again. The lights on It's a Small World are still twinkling, but the boats have all been docked. The building sits quiet, though you can almost imagine you still hear that song. So deeply has it embedded itself in the fabric of the place. In Adventureland, the tiki torches are being extinguished one by one. A cast member walks the pathways with a long snuffer, carefully putting out each flame. The tropical foliage looks different without the flickering firelight, more tranquil, less mysterious. The jungle sounds from the hidden speakers have been turned down, creating a sense of the jungle settling down for sleep. Liberty Square is particularly beautiful in these final moments. The gas lamps along the streets burn steadily, and the colonial architecture looks timeless and elegant. The Liberty Tree stands watch as it is all day, its 13 lanterns still glowing. The riverboat is secured at the dock, silent and majestic, waiting for tomorrow's passengers. Even the haunted mansion seems peaceful now, its Gothic facade less foreboding, more like an old friend. Frontierland's wooden boardwalks are nearly empty. The last guests are emerging from Big Thunder Mountain, and cast members are beginning the shutdown procedures. The mountain will go dark soon, its red rocks fading from view until tomorrow. The country music that played all day has been turned off, leaving just the natural sounds: the creak of wood, the rustle of leaves, the distant splash of the rivers of America. Back on Main Street, more shops have closed. The lights inside are off now, leaving only the window displays illuminated, creating little theaters of merchandise and magic. A cast member is locking the door to the jewelry shop, checking it twice to make sure it's secure. The Town Square Theater, where guests met Mickey all day, is dark and quiet now. Mickey has retired for the evening, though he'll be back tomorrow morning, ready to greet a new day of guests with that same enthusiastic energy. The flagpole in Town Square still flies the American flag, though it will be lowered soon in a small ceremony performed by cast members, treating the flag with the respect and dignity it deserves. It's one of many little rituals that happen after guests leave, the unseen work that keeps the magic alive. The final announcement echoes through the park. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Magic Kingdom is now closed. Please make your way to the nearest exit. We look forward to seeing you again real soon. But even now, there's no urgency. The remaining guests move toward the exits with slow, reluctant steps, like children being called in from play at the end of a perfect summer day. They keep turning back for one more look, one more glimpse of the castle, one more moment to hold in their hearts. We walk slowly down Main Street for the last time tonight. The storefronts are all dark now, their windows reflecting the street lamps like mirrors. Our footsteps echo on the brick pavement, sounding louder now that the ambient noise of crowds has faded away. The street feels wider, somehow more spacious, like we're seeing it the way it was meant to be seen, without the press of thousands of people. A family walks ahead of us, a young girl riding on her father's shoulders, her head resting against the top of his. She's fighting sleep, her eyes drooping closed and then forcing themselves open again, not wanting to miss anything. Her mother walks beside them, carrying a stuffed Minnie Mouse that's nearly as big as the child. They're not talking, just walking together in comfortable silence, processing the day, storing away memories. The music that plays now is barely above a whisper. When You Wish Upon a Star drifts through the air in an instrumental arrangement so soft and gentle it might be imagined. The melody wraps around everything, familiar and comforting, like a blanket being pulled up on a cold night. Cast members line the street now, forming an unofficial farewell corridor. They stand at intervals, smiling, waving, calling out good night and thank you for visiting, and see you real soon. Their enthusiasm is remarkable given how late it is, how long they've been working. But this is part of the magic too, this genuine care, this authentic desire to send every guest home with a smile. Some cast members are high-fiving children as they pass. Others are answering last-minute questions about transportation or helping families figure out which bus they need. A few are simply standing at attention, quietly watching over the departing guests, ensuring everyone makes it out safely, making sure no one is left behind. Looking back over our shoulder, we can see the castle one last time. From this distance, framed by the buildings of Main Street, it looks like an illustration in a storybook, almost too perfect to be real. The lighting is softened even more, a gentle glow that makes the whole structure seem to float, ethereal and timeless. A few stars are visible in the sky behind it, competing with the ambient light, but holding their own. The train station looms ahead now. We pass under the tunnel that runs beneath it, and our footsteps echo in the enclosed space. The walls here are lined with posters, vintage-style advertisements for attractions and lands within the park. Even in our exhaustion, it's hard not to stop and look at them, to read the clever copy, to admire the artistic style. We emerge from the tunnel into the entrance plaza. The area is still busy, but it's a different kind of busy now. People are moving with purpose toward the ferry boats or the monorail, toward the buses that will take them back to their hotels or their cars. Cast members with glowing wands direct traffic, their movements practiced and efficient. The turnstiles click as guests exit, that distinctive sound of metal on metal, each click marking the end of someone's visit. Some people pause just after exiting, turning back to look at the train station, at the flower beds planted in the shape of Mickey's face, at the flagpole, committing it all to memory. Families are making plans as they walk. Tomorrow we'll sleep in, someone says. I want to go to Epcot next, says a child. Let's get breakfast at the hotel before we do anything, suggests a tired parent. The conversation is part of the transition, helping everyone move from the magic of the park back to the practicality of the real world. The ferry boat is loading at the dock, its lights reflected in the dark water of the Seven Seas Lagoon. The captain stands at the gate, greeting the final passengers of the night, helping elderly guests step safely aboard, making sure everyone finds a spot. The boat rocks gently with each person who boards, a soothing motion that promises rest and relaxation. If we choose the ferry, we find a spot at the railing, looking back toward the park. As the boat pulls away from the dock, the perspective shifts. The magic kingdom recedes, becoming smaller, more distant. But it doesn't diminish. If anything, seeing it from this vantage point makes it seem even more magical. This glowing jewel of lights and architecture sitting on the edge of the dark lagoon. The castle is visible from here, rising above the trees that border the park. The contemporary resort stands tall to the right, its A-frame structure lit up like a massive lantern. To the left, you can see the roof line of other buildings, the infrastructure that supports all this magic. The ferry's engine hums steadily, pushing us across the water, the wake spreading out behind us in silvery ripples. Other guests on the ferry are quiet now. Some are sitting, grateful to be off their feet. Others stand at the railing like us, watching the park fade into the distance. A small child points at the castle, saying bye-bye castle. Bye bye Mickey in a sleepy voice. It's heartbreakingly sweet, this innocent farewell. The night air is cooler out here on the water. The breeze refreshing after hours in the park. It carries the faint smell of the lagoon, clean and fresh, mixed with sunscreen and the perfume and cologne of tired guests. The stars are clearer here, away from the park's lights, scattered across the sky in patterns and constellations. If we take the monorail instead, we glide upward on the ramp to the station, our legs heavy after so much walking. The sleek train waits on the platform, its doors open, its interior lit with that distinctive blue-white fluorescent glow. We board and find seats near the window, settling in for the smooth, silent ride. The monorail pulls away from the station with barely a whisper, accelerating so smoothly you hardly feel the movement. Soon we're gliding past the park, elevated high enough to see over the trees. From this height, you can see the layout of the Magic Kingdom, how the different lands radiate out from the castle like spokes on a wheel. You can see the dark expanse of the parking lot beyond, dotted with pools of light from the street lamps. The monorail follows its track around the Seven Seas Lagoon, past the Grand Floridian Resort with its Victorian elegance, past the Polynesian with its tropical architecture and ambient torchlight, past the Contemporary again where the track actually runs through the hotel's interior. Through it all, if you look back, you can still see the castle, that constant reference point, visible from almost anywhere on property, whether on the ferry or the monorail, whether heading to a hotel or to the parking lot. The journey away from the Magic Kingdom is part of the experience. It's a decompression, a transition, a gentle letting go. The excitement and energy of the park give way to a pleasant exhaustion, the kind of tired that comes from a day well spent, from experiences fully lived, from magic fully embraced. Back at the Magic Kingdom, the work continues even after the last guest leaves. The overnight crew is already moving in, beginning the massive task of cleaning and maintaining the park. They'll pressure wash the streets, remove every piece of trash, inspect every attraction, repair anything that broke during the day, and prepare everything for tomorrow's guests. They work through the night while the rest of the world sleeps, invisible heroes who keep the magic alive. The lights in the castle will stay on for a while longer, a beacon in the night. But eventually even they'll dim. The park will be dark and silent for a few precious hours before dawn breaks and the cycle begins again. The characters will return to their meet and greet locations. The rides will come back to life. The music will start playing. Cast members will take their positions. And new guests will stream through the gates, eyes wide with anticipation, ready to create their own memories. But for now, for these quiet moments, the Magic Kingdom rests. It's a living thing that needs sleep too, needs time to recharge, needs the darkness to appreciate the light. And we, the guests who were fortunate enough to experience it tonight, carry a piece of that magic home with us. In our minds, we can still hear the music drifting down Main Street. We can still see the fireworks bursting across the sky. We can still feel the wonder of standing in front of the castle as it glowed in the darkness. We can still smell the popcorn and the flowers and the unique scent that belongs only to Disney parks. These memories will fade eventually, as all memories do. The details will blur. The specific moments will merge together. But the feeling will remain, that sensation of having been somewhere truly special. Somewhere where magic is real and dreams come true and joy is the default state of being. And that feeling, more than anything else, is what we take with us as we leave. That's what calls us back again and again, no matter how many times we visit. That's what makes Disney parks at night so special, so meaningful, so utterly unforgettable. Good night, Magic Kingdom. Thank you for the memories. Thank you for the magic. We'll see you again real soon.